Hi, this is Andy from API Sound and Visual. Today we are at the Church of the Assumption of Our Lady in Torquay, a Roman Catholic parish church in the centre of Torquay. The brief for this project was to replace their existing camera and streaming system, which was put in a hurry during lockdown, with a more permanent solution that was much easier to use and still gave great results. Alongside this, the church asked for a projection system to enhance the worship and also the preaching. Let's have a look first at the projection system. Due to the architecture of the church, there are very few spaces that lent themselves to fitting a projection screen. So the customer suggested they would like the image projected onto a small space on the wall just to the left of the chancel arch. This very specific location meant that our choice of projector location was also limited, due to the fact that they needed a fairly small image to fit the available space. We used a Panasonic projector with a long throw lens. This was mounted, as you can see, on one of the columns part way back in the church. The church were keen to have a wireless connectivity to avoid having cables out the front of the church, so we installed a Microsoft wireless display adapter on the projector, which puts a simple code on the screen which you type into the computer, and then the two are linked together for wireless projection. Looking at the size of the projected image, you might think that having a fairly sophisticated projector with long throw lens was slight overkill, but it's exactly the size and space that the customer asked us to fill, and it means the projector can be away from the front of the church and more out of sight, plus only having a fairly small image actually gives them a very, very bright one. The camera and streaming system was somewhat unusual in that they had a chapel on the left hand side of the church and a baptistry area on the right hand side. They wanted to cover these two areas specifically, but they were both beyond the reach of a central pan tilt zoom camera that we used at the rear of the church to cover most of the main services. So for this task we fitted two fixed lens cameras, and these are selectable very simply from the control panel. As you can see from the video, all three cameras have fitted in very discreetly to the interior of the church. The three cameras are controlled by our own system using a 32 button control panel, which is color coded to make it easy to decide which camera you're controlling and to also move the pan tilt zoom camera. This control panel also switches between cameras and acts as a remote control for the production switcher, which is in the rack behind. Normally that switcher would be considered somewhat complex for the average priest to operate, so having our control panel means that everything happens from buttons which are labelled in plain English, and they never have to touch the switcher in the background at all. Because of the type of communication between the control panel and switcher, we're able to display on the control panel buttons the elapsed time of the broadcast, and if they're recording the service, also the elapsed time of the recording and the amount of space left on the USB device. All of the camera signals are fed back to the control rack using the broadcast SDI format, which is a lossless digital connection. This ensures the highest possible picture quality for the streaming output. The switcher is a network device, so that there is no computer required for streaming. basically a network connection on the back of the switcher, carries the stream directly to the internet. In this way, we've provided the church with a simple streaming system that can just be a matter of pressing a single button to get streaming, and then they have the choice as to whether they move the camera doing services or leave it in a static position. I hope you've enjoyed this video. It's brought to you by API Sound and Visual. Please check out our website www.churchsoundsystems.co.